Hello, welcome to the stream. Today I'm gonna work on some project for Second Life, and you're gonna watch me model in Blender and probably do some high poly of the mesh, and then probably start the texturing process in Substance Painter. So, hope you're gonna have fun following, and let's get to it. We're gonna start in Blender. I already did the base mesh for this. It's a little cute pudding. I'm actually remaking something very old of mine, one of the first things that I ever created. And, you know, I guess I got better at this thing, so I wanted to give it a go. We have the base body of the pudding is just a cylinder. I squished a bit to make it pudding shaped. And then for the fitties and the hands, it's just some cubes mirrored over. Nothing too fancy. You can see the UV here, very simple. There's still space in case I want to add some accessory to it. I can just shove them here and save on UV space. This is gonna be the low poly version that I'm gonna import in Substance. I prefer to separate the feeds. The parts, so in Substance they do not do the ambient occlusion thing. You just need to properly name them. So like and this is gonna be the low one, and this is just the pudding low. And then when I do the high poly, I just need to name them the same exact word but with high. And Substance Painter is smart enough to know that no, we don't want these to intersect with each other. There's a setting for that. I'm gonna show you later when we get there. Anyhow, now we select these two. Export. I'm gonna do a wave font. Oh, you cannot see my folders, but better. That way you don't see the chaos that ensues in the background. Okay, Substance folder. One where we save the hypo, then a texture folder, and the paddings low. Saved. Now I'm gonna prepare a couple of mesh for the high poly. I'm gonna probably do the sculpting for this in a ZBrush. You can do it in Blender or, you know, whatever else you prefer to use. 3D cut is great too. I should get back into learning that, to be fair. Anyway, it's the same mesh. I just give them a multi-resolution modifier. And this one is complete. I give it detailing name so I know what is what. And export this, we select the other one, export it too. Voila! Give it save. Always give it save. Very, very important. And ready to hop window. Now, I know there's a better way of doing this, but I'm completely a noob when it comes to ZBrush. I really don't know how to properly use it and stuff. I'm learning, but the UI is very daunting and there's so much things. I do usually my sculpt, like some of them sculpt when I want to start something that I want to sculpt. I do it in Blender, and I usually just do fine details here in ZBrush. Ooh, what happened there? My tablet is not being helpful. It doesn't want to light up. Please light up and see my monitor. That's very important for this process. Well, the joy of my PC glitching. I hope the stream is still fine. And with the drum roll. No, doesn't want to work today. Oh, there you go. The power of complaint. You complain, things kind of work. Anyhow, let's import. Oh, we already have the window ready to go. Okay. Let's find my folder. This specific project is for the anniversary round of warehouse sale. I'm gonna remake these little puddings as pets. If I have enough time, I might try even to maybe make them into animation, animate them a bit. We'll see. Let's drop this, edit, enter, zoom out. Then we go to the sub tool, we duplicate this, import the 50s. Ta-da! Okay. We're gonna edit with a couple of those and geometry divide a couple of times so it's nice and smooth. Now we can give it a base. Transform, activate symmetry because that's important. I don't like this. The drag, but maybe this. It's a bit of trial and error. As I said, I'm not that great with ZBrush, you know. It's just when it comes to this little creature and stuff, is like proportion is the thing that's most important to make them cute. Let's have the intensity a bit up. Aha! Maybe a bit more. Yes, I think this is gonna be more or less where we're gonna have the mouth. We want it pensive or happy, or just not impressed with us. Let's see. Well, let's work on the eyes first. I'm very messy when it comes to sculpt. I just, you know, poke things around and see what I like, and then maybe I just destroy it all and start from the beginning. This is kind of creepy. I don't like it anymore. Yeah, see? Complete mess. Aw, a smiling pudding maybe. Let's give it a go. Hey, there you go. I look cute. There's something that I want to try out with this one. It's something that I usually don't do, using masks to extract stuff. I want to do the caramel on top with masks. So we're gonna go to the standard brush first. Let's remove the alpha, and I'm gonna turn off symmetry because we don't really need it for this, and we're gonna start kind of drawing the we're gonna refine it too later, but oops, that was the wrong button. That's what happens when you switch program. and all of your shortcuts kind of get muddled up together and it's into a mess in your brain. Especially when there's a heat wave going on. My brain has been mush for weeks. This heat wave needs to go away. We are not, like, onions are not built for 40 degrees Celsius, guys. No. That's when onion turn into soup, and we don't really want onion soup, not in summer. More of a winter thing, right? Oh, let's see. Going. Oh, I need to check that he's not doing the other side now. And ping. Okay. Now, time to refine it a bit. So we're gonna make the thing smaller and add some bits here and there. Now smaller. There, and we go down. We can do also a dot, like a bit. This. Bigger, we connect that better. And a bit less here. And keep going. Up, up, up. I hope the music is fine. I wanted to give something relaxing in the background. This is my first stream in like forever. I did some streaming a bit while back, but I think it was like almost a year ago. And you know, I set up OBS and everything, but I hope I didn't mess up. Well, for now, I don't think there's many people around anyway, but you know what they say, talk to yourself, and then if somebody's in the chat, they're gonna answer. I'm not crazy, I just talk with my imaginary friend. Oops. Or maybe I'm crazy. The heatwave finally completely got to me, and my last brain cell melted. Okay, I kind of like how it looks. Now we're gonna click button until... Ooh, first try. Look at that. I never remember the shortcut for inverting the mask. Apparently it's control just bop with the pen. Good to know. I'm gonna forget again soon. I think I'm gonna add some more. Yes. Like that is cuter. Those are refining. Now, one way of doing it would be like extruding things out. So I think how you do it here is you go scale and then like, whoops. No, they're orange or yellow. That's a yellow. Yeah, you do it like that, right? Then you go back to drawing and we just smooth it out. Probably. Yeah, not a ZBrush person. So we're just gonna make a tad more soft and everything, you know? Oops, I didn't want to do that. Okay. Look at him, he's adorable. Whoops, what is that? Oh yeah, I increased the intensity before for the other thing that I was doing. Now that's way too much for this. And he's also still on the stroke setting of dragging. I'm gonna just, I think, Do I want to give it some? Like make it look like it's a bit concave there. Yeah, I think it works. Look at him. Isn't he adorable? I think now though we need to also refine a bit the inside of the smoothing, because it was, oh, you know what? Well, let's do this. Boop. So we don't risk going overboard. We just invert and just smooth on the other side. Being careful here near the eye, because we don't want to flip that and accidentally smooth our eyes out. He needs his eyes. He's a little pudding, but still need to see, you know? I'm gonna have fun hand painting this one. I like doing these kind of little creatures. I used to do them a lot in the past, but then, you know, Animesh came out and I felt like if you didn't do them animated, then it wasn't good enough, but that's not exactly true. There are still a lot of people that like little blushes that they can shove around. Also, Animesh have that limit to them, so you can't have more than 2 if you're premium and 1, I think, if you're non-premium attached to you. Which is a pity, because certain things work very much better if they are Animesh. We have more freedom to do things to them, like, you know, big tails with a lot of different strands and those cool wings that maybe you want to have, like wings with 6 pair of wings, those kind of things. But yeah, the limit sadly doesn't allow us to do much. That's, I think, why I've been fun experimenting a bit outside of SL, like with fizz buns and the sort, because we can do so much more. It would be nice if they were ever introducing fizz bones, or even just honestly blend shapes to Second Life, but I don't really see it happening. One never knows though. We did got PBR in the end, so staying positive maybe. Okay, what else? I think we need to refine the eyes a bit. With the pinch brush. Brush B for pinch? Yes. And now we're gonna reactivate the symmetric, since we're working on something that is symmetric. Yeah, the pinch went well, and a bit on the mouth too, just to make it a bit more. Let's see if I give it one more geometry, and whoops, wait. Let's get symmetry and go a bit with the pinch in some of the, just to make it a bit more defined. That way Substance Painter is gonna pick it up a bit better when we're gonna go and do the textures in there. I don't know for how long I'm gonna be streaming. The afternoon is a bit complicated because it becomes very hot here, and so after a bit my drawing tablet burns. Like literally I got a burn on my arm for leaving it on it too long. Nothing serious, of course, it was just red and I put some cream and it went away, but you know, let's not do that again. Let's see, what else do we want to do? Well, I guess the faces and the hands need some love, but we're still working on the main body. That's underneath is fine. It doesn't really need too many details, this one, in the high poly, because I mean, it's just a tiny little pudding, and a lot of the detail we're gonna do with hand painting the textures anyway. So let's swap to the pixies. I know there's a shortcut for doing it, but I don't know the shortcut, so we're gonna click in the menu. If you guys want to let me know, please do. I no promises that we'll remember the time after. but we can try. Okay, for the hands, maybe we can do a little thumb. Let's see, BDS. BDS is the shortcut for the thumb standard. Like if we give it a little and then whoop, and then whoop, like this. Is it correct? Probably not, but it's cute, yes. And that's the most important thing. See? Look at it. And for the face, let's see. Okay, he's gonna have no. I think the fitsies can stay as they are, to be honest. I don't want to give him toe beans because it's a pudding. It doesn't have toe beans. No, this one. If it was a cat pudding, now that would have been different. But this one is just a normal pudding. No toe beans included. So, we need to give him a name. His name is gonna be... I don't know. Richard. Richard the Pudding. It doesn't go by Richard though, it's gonna go by Red. Now, that's a bad. No, not bad pudding. Richard. It's a caramel pudding and his name is... So maybe like in 3 to 4 years or a bit more, I'm gonna have somebody voice it for me like it happened with Charles the hat. I don't know if you remember Charles. It was a long time ago that I made the Rusty hat. It was this hat with fangs and a tongue. It's like a mimic hat. And I decided that his name was Charles. Somehow. And years after, I had a dear friend of mine voice him and I remade him Animash. It was a very interesting project. And also very difficult because I never really lip-synced a hat mouth with the person speaking, but it was very fun. And now Charles is just a second life with my friend's voice coming out of him, and I think it's a very cool thing. This pudding is gonna be voiced one day, maybe. Or I should make maybe the little cherry voice. But how would the little cherry sound? That's a mystery for another day. Oh, let's export this. These are the Fitsies detail. Export. And now we select the body and we do the same thing. Body. Detail. Here we go. Thank you, zbrush, for your work. And we're gonna go back to Blender now. And let's hide this. Let's make more bolder. So this one is the low one. It's gonna be green. And we shove in there low and low. Wait, a bit more organized. And I'm gonna do a new one for the high pop. And this guy is gonna be pink. Why? Obviously. The detail one can just stay out there. I'm gonna switch back to this. Save. File. Import. Wait, one. Locate the detailed one that we just did. And now we wait. Shouldn't take too long. It's not such a high density mess yet. There you go. Isn't it cute even without Fitsies? Huh? It's adorable. But shades move. Leave again. Because you never know when things crash. 4. Wavefront, padding, piece. Shades. If we want to see better, we can do the cavity thing. Look ahead. Door. Oh, there's some mistake there. I guess I didn't do the mask completely well there. I did this, so we just go in with the smooth in Blender. I'm just pressing Shift, so it does the smoothing brush by. I need to maybe just try more. So now I'm just brush it up. For the rest, I guess it's okay. Is this a lo-fi version of the Pokemon song? Yeah, the Pokemon Center. Huh. I found this very nice playlist that is royalty free lo-fi music from Spotify. It's very nice. There we go. Our padding has been fixed. And now we need to properly rename it for that thing that I was talking about before. So if you give it the correct naming convention, you can do some interesting stuff in Substance Painter that will save you time. One thing that I always do in Substance is, so I put the stuff that is on the same UV on the same material, so they're gonna all be baked out together. This one only has one UV, of course, but if I were to have a more complex object that had multiple UVs, I will put the pieces that are on the same UV on the same material. And then I just split up the mesh, that way that interaction don't happen where I don't want them to be self-occlusion and things like that. Because for example, if I do draw some of my shadows, right? I bake some of my shadows because I have a hybrid PBR / fallback kind of style, at least in Second Life. But for example, if I want to maybe change where the footsies are on this little guy, having some harsh shadow here will ruin the it will ruin the effect, because I cannot move the footsies from where they are if I have self-occlusion. It's gonna be nice if I just keep the footsies there, so it makes sense that there's a bit of a shadow behind them, but I prefer to leave that to the engine, and that way I have more freedom on things that I might want to do later with the mesh, like animating it or making multiple poses for the little guy. Okay, that's time to export it. I just pick up both pieces, export, wavefont. I find that wavefont or FBX is the one that causes less trouble when I shove them in Substance. I never use a dye font, a dye one like for Substance. So these one are gonna be called Padding High because they are the high poly. And we export them. While they do that, I'm gonna launch Substance. It's gonna take a second, so we're gonna just wait. Blender still hasn't finished exporting. Still loading. When you have high poly stuff, that usually is the case. Just in general, I have a high poly and a low poly version because in Second Life, or even in general when you do stuff, even for VR chat and other things, you might want to have a lower poly version. That's better for lag and everything else, right? The lower the poly, the better. And then for all the details, you're just gonna use the high poly that you did in a program like Substance or Blender itself. You can use it in Blender too and make context, and transfer the details to the low poly one via texture. That way you save up on polygons and lag, and you still retain all the details and things. Okay. Now that everything is done, we're gonna switch to Substance Painter. Welcome to the mess that is my library of substances. It's grown a lot during the years, some that I got, some that I made, some that are just a mess. So, but at this point, I think I have kind of I would say you can tell when I texture something. Oh, this is the wrong. Okay, let's go find the folder. Mesh pad or house buttons. Substance. Although I usually just leave this as it is. I just leave this. Usually it's like the normal map. You cannot see right now. I don't know why OBS is not picking up the new project thing, but I don't really change anything from the default. I just make sure that it's on OpenGL, but you can always change it later even if you forget, so it's okay. Here we go. This is my padding. Now, I go here and I switch the resolution to 48. I might then scale it down later for Second Life because honestly this one doesn't need a 2K texture. I know that now we are allowed to import 2K textures, but guys, we don't really need 2K textures on everything, okay? I know, it's tempting, Chris, but think about the VRM, think about the lag. My internet connection sucks, so I'm very careful with, you know. I mean, I also live on a plot, I never leave. I just go to work. But think about your fellow people and the lag. Okay. Now we're gonna big mash. Oh, nice. This one is showing. I don't know why the other one wasn't showing. So what I usually do here is put to 48 the bake, and here I select my high poly. That's creepy. Look, it's a demonic pudding. The automatic experimental one, honestly, kind of nice. My version of Substance is a bit older, but hey. I try to avoid sometimes updating because I have the newer version was in conflict with my drivers and it kept crashing and it wasn't working. So I'm gonna keep this older one and be safe with it because I have everything I need to work anyway. When we have the match thing here, instead of always, I put by mesh names. What it's gonna do is basically match stuff that have the same name on low and high. And that way we can avoid certain problems. Okay, anti-aliasing, we want to 4x, then we go down for this. I don't have IDs, it's fine. In ambient occlusion we do the same thing. We put by mesh, so in self-occlusion, so the fixies are not gonna cast a shadow on the body. We're gonna do the same thing for the curvature and the position. No self-occlusion there. No, thickness, sorry, not the position. The position is fine. Thickness, you put on this same mesh name. And let me give it a bake. Oh, I'm lagging a bit in the stream, I can see that. It's because my Substance is baking, that consumes a lot of the PC power. I hope the audio though still comes out okay. Okay, there we go. We return. And now you can see that my little adorable low poly has the details from the high poly. Ta-da! The other thing that I like to do here is switching my HDRI to this one. Is Atelier to side. So the Atelier one I think is one of the default one in Substance. I usually take my favorite HDRI and make them seamless. And then sometimes I make the saturated version of them so that there are not too much strong color in the HDRI, because I don't want too many things to be baked in it. I try to keep it half and half. You're gonna see how I do my texture, like the process. But yeah, I bake the 2D view, and then I put the albedo on top of it in Photoshop, and I lower the opacity so that the albedo is like around 40% opacity. That way we still keep some detail of the baked stuff for people that still insist. I'm looking at you. I don't know why you do this, but you insist on not using PBR. And so I give you the fallback textures. And they look a bit decent because the albedo itself would just be like one flat color, and that would not be looking super good in a non-PBR environment. Don't get me wrong, I don't use PBR for everything. There are certain things that I do that are still not. Like if I have like the Cosmos chess piece, that is almost not called PBR because it's all transparent stuff and effects and things. But if we have things with metal or glass, those are so much better in PBR. You cannot tell me that it's not. I will admit that certain fabrics, they're a bit tricky. It's mostly not PBR's fault, is the fact that Second Life doesn't let us have environment. Like, here, let me give you an example. Even with metals, right? We just put a normal metal on it. Oh yeah, it's metallic. But say that your environment is something like this, and now suddenly it's green. This is why some people are like, oh, why is everything blue? Why, since PBR came out, everything is blue? Well, that's the sky. I'm sorry. Like, if the sky is very blue, everything's gonna be blue. Like, it's a problem. See? Like, look at this. This is like a sunset one. And, see? It's the same material, it's just the environment around it are changing. And that's the problem. In Second Life, we don't have that much control over the shaders. Like, if we design something and are like, hey guys, we would like you to watch it with this shader because it's what the best result, right? But we cannot give you the shaders that we want things to be looked at. And so sometimes things will not look right if there's not the right environment. Anyway, now we can proceed in doing this little guy. Let's get rid of the aluminium, and there's a debate. English, weird. Okay. Oh, let me close ZBrush a second because I am lagging a bit. So let's just get rid of the stuff that we are not using since we already have the string going and YouTube Studio. Okay. I have this. This is one of my bays. I have to fix things usually, but you know what? No, we're gonna make it from scratch, this one. It depends like what will be the mood for, usually. I have some stuff that is already made, but if you hear twinkling sounds, the demon is around. I can't see her, but I can hear her, and maybe you can too. Okay, so flooding is around this color for the base, and we're gonna add some roughness. For now, we're gonna leave it like around here, I think, but then we're gonna overlay more roughness. Don't worry about it. We're just gonna start with some bases. I think caramel puddings are actually lighter, like this. Yeah. This is base color. Then we're gonna do black mask and paints, and we're gonna do the top part. I think it's gonna just be faster to do it by hand like this. I want this part, this caramel, to be different color. Yep. Focus mode. I see. No, metallic, sorry, base color. I sometimes switch to base color to see if I left some holes in there, but it's better to finish now because without the material I cannot see where the, thing is, because it's a normal map that is causing us to see it. Otherwise it's just gonna be flat, because the mesh itself is just flat, right? It is an illusion. We like illusions, they save on polygons. Okay, this is just a rough, first bit. And honestly, here is easier to just do this. Okay. And let's refine it around. At the top is good. Now we zoom in a bit better. And smaller brush. By pressing X, you can switch between additive and subtractive mask. So you just, at this point, go and fix it. I'm gonna keep it a bit soft. Whoops. Around here. Keep going. Oh, see here we need to do a bit of the detail. Okay. More here. There we go. And we're almost done, I think. We went almost all around. Refining here. Yes. Now we're gonna switch to a base color to properly check, honestly. You know what, let's do this a second so it's more obvious. It's blinding, I am sorry for that, but that way I can see if there's any glitter, like here, see? I go back and fix it where we see the orange come through. Okay, we have the mask for the top part. I'm gonna call it caramel. This, now we're gonna make a new one. It's all three layers because this is the best way of working non-destructively. Because if you use the paint layer, then you have to decide then and then your roughness, your color. But if you do a fill layer, all of those things you can change later, so it's not a problem, you know. Again, black mask, paint, We switch back to material so we can see, and now we're gonna do the eyes. For this one, we're gonna turn on symmetry because, as you know, eyes were symmetric. We're not. Let's make them for now dark. And we select the mask, the paint, make the brush bigger. We actually will need a different brush. Okay. Too big. Too big. There we go. Yes. Perfection. Oh, look, we forgot this little bit here. So now we go back and do it. Let me reactivate that so I can. There we go. Anything else we forgot? Okay, so he has eyes and a hat, which is not a hat. We can now do the caramel. Yes, for the caramel is usually this kind of color, a bit more saturated, I would say, maybe a bit more on the yellow side, yeah, like that, right? And then caramel is very reflected, like it could be like this. And if you want to accentuate even more, that is like here, you see, you can put a bit of height and we can give that a bit more. I'm gonna go and add a filter on top of the paint layer and give it a smidge of a blur, not too much, but just a bit, because it was a bit too harsh, I think. Perfect. Now let me see if this one is just, yes, there, see, there was a little bit that I didn't paint in. Okay, now we can do the eyes. I like to do them very reflective, like that you can see like stuff inside of them, right? But not as much. And then height too, we can give them. If we give them a reverse, it does that effect. I don't really like it, so we're gonna go like here. I think we need to clean up a bit the paint layer. Turn on the symmetry again. When we yeah, see, it was when we used the soft brush. And now we go back to a soft brush actually to remove this smaller size, and we go in and we oops, go in slowly and do that, and then reach the mask around and fix the bit that, and I think we can do the same that we did for the other one. We'll filter and add a blur again, not too much because otherwise we can recreate the problem that we just fixed, but like just like this, right? Otherwise it looks like he has panda eyes, and we don't need our padding to have panda eyes. Come on, he's happy, he's a nice pudding, he's rested. There we go. Now we can go like on the base color and add some details, like for example, I like to add some blush because it's cute. So we add a paint layer, we get, I like this artistic brush thing. I'll just go in, and it doesn't matter if the color is not perfect right away because, as I said, since it's non-destructive, right, you can always then go in and fix it. this, and then we go back in and we're like, oh, I don't like this pink, it's too pink. I want it a bit more on the red side, maybe a bit dark. Huh? I don't like how we painted it, to be fair. Let's do it again with a different brush this time. I think the basic soft could be a good shot with this one. Just do whoop. See, yeah, very cute. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, this is good. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Now we're gonna adjust the color because I like how it looks. Well, I'm gonna go here. I think like this. Yes. Another thing that sometimes I do is oops, oh, I never saved. See, bad me. Bad onion. Like, never saved. That's what then makes you crash out when, you know. Okay, we're gonna go and save this real quick. Path, pudding. There we say 6, 0, 8. Yes. Pudding. Hey, what was I saying? Oh yes, sometimes I just like to get the base color like this, right? I export this and I throw it in Procreate and do my hand painting there. I did this for what the last years, the Fate years that I released. I did the base separating all positions where I wanted here, and then I got just this texture, like this flat color texture, into Procreate on my iPad, and I did all the hand painting there because I don't know, I feel like I have more freedom on the iPad because I can turn it around. Like I really like the hand gestures on how to paint. It feels more like painting instead of, you know, on my tablet on PC. So yeah, I usually do that. But yeah, and then what you do is you re-import that hand painted texture here in Substance, right? And you throw it on a fill layer and you use that as the base color. Of course, then you're not gonna have like the separation like here. But since you already have the shapes roughly, right? You can just remove the color from those and just use it to do the height or the roughness of those sections. So yeah, it's a bit of a longer way of doing it than if I were have just to do it here. But I like how that works more. I think I might actually do this for this texturing. If it doesn't come out as I like it, I might take this texture out and oh, how you do it, by the way, the texture out, the fastest way is just to file, like you go file, export texture. Oh no, it's not showing it. Ah, the tragedy. Well, you know, the menu that pops up when you go to export texture, and you can just go and as output template the document channel one, like that is like normal air or no alpha, that one, the base color is gonna spit out, it's just the texture and that's it. So you can just use it. I'm gonna just do it real quick. So I need to do okay, I need to find work saving the texture. Pets, warehouse pudding, textures, and I make an additional like folder called bases, and then I'm gonna shove in there all of my hand painted and stuff. It's good to be organized in these cases because otherwise, it's a mess. You don't want it to be a mess. But yeah, if you do that, then improve how it is. We can continue here. Like, let's see, our little padding is missing something, right? Like, it's because it's all same. What I usually like to do is, like, I'm gonna duplicate this one, the base color, right? And I'm gonna remove the roughness. No, okay, we're gonna leave the roughness this time. But we're gonna make it a tad darker and put it down a bit, like just like that. We're gonna worry about the roughness later, but we're gonna add a black mask, and this time we add a generator, and we type in cloud. Now, you can just pick whatever you want. I'm gonna pick cloud. And you need to balance it and maybe add some contrast. You can play with the scale, right? And you need to play a bit with it. Like, see, here is doing seam, so we're gonna add filter, triplanar. See, no more seams. Of course, after adding the triplanar, you need to go and mess a bit more with the balance and stuff, right? And, well, the scale mostly. I want a bit larger, yeah, like that. Right now is a bit aggressive, I'm aware, but what we do is just we reduce the opacity of this one, right? So there is a bit of variation in the color, but it's not too obvious, but it's not as flat. And what we also can do is, if we go here, we select roughness, so we see, like right now, the body is all the same roughness, is this gray. But since we have this one that is already influenced by that, we can make those parts a bit less reflective. Not too much, because we want it to be subtle, right? We don't want it to be too obvious. But yeah, like that. So there is a bit of differences, like your eyes is gonna pick it up, even if maybe you can't properly tell, but your eyes are gonna pick it up. You're gonna give it another save. If you want, you can do the same thing like for the caramel, like you duplicate it, and maybe this time we're gonna make it a bit lighter. But you're like, oh, but I already have a mask here. So what I do is I just shove it in a folder, right? And then I put a mask on that folder. And I add a generator. Always rename stuff so you know what's what. And we can add clouds again, I guess. And then we go in and we work on it. Like, I want to see a bit better. Then we go back to the folder because it's here that we're gonna work on that, right? You do the balance. Oh, but in this one, remember to remove the height because otherwise it's gonna do a weird thing, right? Yeah. So you just have the caramel variation there. You can mess with the scale a bit. Now the caramel looks kind of odd, but because it kept it. You can also play with the disorder if you want, the contrast, balance, is up to you really. Like. And then you go in. What did I remove the height from? Oh, I removed the height from the wrong one. This one keeps it. This one loses it. Unless you want to keep it to just give it a bit of oomph, but you need to be super subtle with it, right? Like so. Like this. This way you shouldn't even like be able to properly tell, see? But it's a nice touch. And again, with the we can also play with the roughness. So I usually like to go here because it makes it more obvious what I'm doing. And I'm gonna actually make those areas this time more reflective. Like this. Again, it's not a drastic change, it's just, you know, something. Okay. We're still like at the, we're gonna make a base for now because I usually add a lot of things on top until I'm satisfied with how it looks. And for now I'm not. I think I want, okay, we're gonna make this pure white. And that's blinding, I know. Then a black mask. Then we add a generator. And we're gonna do a curvature. And that's weird, but you need to invert it. I know it's being weird, I know. Okay, if you invert it, see, it's in the creases and stuff, right? It's where things are. I could have used an ambient occlusion, right? I'm gonna show you why I'm not using that. It's because the ambient occlusion, I don't super like the result, right? It's like this. What I want is more of a defined look to what I'm going for. So I go curvature, I invert it, and I make sure that the balance is okay. And it's just where I want it. There are certain bits that I don't want there, but we're gonna fix that later. I'm gonna reduce the global contrast a bit and maybe give it a smidge of a blur. Now, we put a paint layer on top, and like, we are gonna go in with, and remove, whoops, remove it for where you don't want it, like here. I don't really want it here, and I don't like how harsh it's here. I need a softer brush, yeah, like, is that softer? Yeah, this one maybe. Yeah. And you can always play with like the flow and opacity, so you can use your and tablet pressure. My tablet is a bit old, so sometimes it's just like, nah, today I don't want to work. But yeah. And you go in and fix where you don't want things. You know that it looks weird right now because it's like super white, but trust the process. We're gonna fix that. Oops, I shouldn't have used the symmetry. It's gonna go in a bit and remove some parts here and there with the paint. It takes a bit to do hand painted stuff. It's not super fast, of course, but I like the effect that it gives in the end. When I do like metal and other stuff, I go for a way more procedural workflow. But for these kind of things, I really like to like super personalize it, like decide bit by bit what I want, what I don't want. I don't leave it to the computation. I just go in and do it by hand a lot of times because it gives more of a handcrafted look to the thing. And I think it looks nice in these kind of items. Otherwise it's too flat to do the same. Even when I do metals and stuff, I like to add grunge and some scratches in, so it's not just, you know, flat clean metal. I think one of my favorite things to work on is actually leather, latex, because you can mess with those a lot. I'm still trying to perfect my leathers and my latex. Another thing that is super difficult to make on Second Life is actually velvet. I think it's also because of with PBR it got a bit better, but the normals are not sometimes super real normals in Second Life, and velvet has that feel to it. It's a bit difficult to produce for Second Life. Okay. Let's see. there is fine. We like there, yeah, okay. Now that we have it where we want, we are gonna turn this into a dark brown but saturated towards the warmth. Okay, and then we can also add like another filter on top and a blur, maybe a direction, a blur slope. I like the blur. No, not in this case. Never mind, we take it. Not too much, just a smidge, right? And I'm gonna need to fix it because I don't like it around the eyes, but also again, it needs to be subtle, right? So we do that. Maybe I'm gonna saturate this towards the red a bit more, like this. See, it's nicer. Again, I'm not gonna add it where the legs and arms are because I think I am gonna animate this, so I don't want it to be, I mean, we can put a bit here, I guess. So I'm gonna make a second paint layer because I don't want to mess with the other one. I'm gonna put it below the blur, and we're gonna add just a smidge, not too much, of effects around the little arm, right? And under it too, because again, see, it's very small. Even here, we're gonna put a bit fixes here because the bottom of the fixes. So I'll make it smaller, and I'm gonna go in the mouth and just do that a bit more. Oops. I'm gonna do here around. Not too bad, right? Oh, the top needs to be fixed a bit. I don't like how it is there. So let's remove them. Just gonna make it a bit more like that. The bottom is fine. Okay. So now we did like the soft shadows. Let me. Yeah. We did the soft shadows of the little pudding guy. So now we're gonna do basically the same, but for highlight. So we're gonna go and do a black mask, add a generator, and this time we might go with ambient occlusion maybe. I know it's a bit weird what I'm doing. No, the ambient occlusion never really works for some stuff. It can work for some, but for what I'm going for, it doesn't really go well. So curvature of this. There's also the mask editor that you guys can use to certain specific stuff. Okay. This sort of work for the top. Okay, like this. So we add a paint layer. We go directly like this because we don't need it on the fixes and anything. So we select the last bit. There's like nope, subtract, nope, like that. Oh wait, we want the top. It's just this, the bottom we don't want. And for the rest, you just plan manually here. Let me switch to a basic card and get bigger. Whoops. There we go. Oops. Now we go for the mouth. We go back to that one nice brush that we were. What was it? Was it this artistic one? Yes, I think it was. Nope, it wasn't. this one. And we lower the stroke opacity and just around a bit. Yeah. I like that. I know the song. It's a very old theme for what? Oh, Tetris. I'm old. Yes. Don't judge me. Or do. I am very, very old. Okay, now, whoops, I didn't want to press that button. My brain went, oh, I want a brush. Let's press B because Photoshop. See, that's what happens with too many programs. You know what, let's remove completely from the mouse and just do it by hand. Go basic card, text. And what I want is like that sort of, I like it like this. Are we gonna do the same around the eyes, to be honest? Let me symmetry. What is that here? And now X, and we remove it there. Leave a bit around because that's like lacrimal duct. Usually it's shiny, right? Just refine it, and we can give it like some blotches of them. Okay. Problem with the eyes when you do this, you cannot use. Oh. Because it's super, because the lights come from the same place, right? So they need to be the same but not mirrored. They need to be actually the same. Yeah, so it's like here, and then small, and we're gonna add a couple of there. Okay. Gonna do the hands. Feet, we're gonna do the same thing basically. So symmetry on, a bit larger, is just gonna be like this. It's a bit like cell shaded effect of that I do in my 2D art, like how I do the shine lines and things like that. Yeah. Oh. We're gonna give it a try on overlay and see how it looks. And you like it? It doesn't, you can even see it. Yeah, you can. Come down. No. How about soft line? Nope. Overlay didn't work. Well, we're gonna stay normal then. And what we're gonna do is... Oh, you know why it wasn't working in overlay? Duh, because it wasn't pure white. Okay, now we're gonna put it in overlay. Yeah. See? The magic of obviousness. Of course, it's not gonna work very well on the eyes, but yeah. Because it needs to be subtle, because again, in SL, we're gonna have material make it. So, what I want on top here is for this to bleed through a bit, because it's a bit too... yeah, let's do it like this, and then we go in, and then we do it like this. There, good. Underneath is fine, there is no bleeding through. Okay. Of course, this is too aggressive, right? So we need to fix it. And the other thing that we're gonna do is adding roughness and making that part way shinier. Because it was the entire thing, right? That part needs to be shinier. See how it catches the reflection near the mouth? file, save. And yeah, this is more or less how I usually do my stuff. Of course, I'm gonna work on this way longer. I'm gonna do some trial and errors for adding more colors and make it a bit more warm. I kind of want to also simulate the substance scattering. You know, it's like you know when you have your hand and you put a light behind one of your finger and the finger glows because the light travels to the flash. Is that because padding is basically one of those substances that things go through. I know it's stylized, it doesn't make no sense to do something like that, but it gives a bit of I don't know, nicer shine. I'm gonna put some warmer spots here and there in the body, and probably try and do some like some hand paint in Procreate for the base, and see how it turns out. But yeah, I have been streaming for a while, like an hour and a half-ish, and for the first try this, I think it went fun. What do you guys think? Well, I don't even know if anyone was watching, honestly. I decided not to check, because otherwise I can become a bit self-conscious about it. Especially because I really don't like my voice, guys. But, I don't know, maybe this can help some people. Seeing how I do my things, and maybe you look at it and say, oh, I do it different, let's try this technique. Or feel free to leave like because I'm gonna like upload it on YouTube as a vlog, like it's gonna stay there. So you can be like, hey, I do this, why don't you try to do it? It's nice. And I can try and then tell you what I think about it. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna call it for today, and this was nice. Well, my dear, what do we call you? Veggies? Yes, you're my veggie. Oh, we'll see each other again when I stream again. See ya!